수밖에 없는 역할인 게
He had been silent for a long time. Not from absence, exactly, but from meaning. For 9 years, Lee Min-ho had avoided film sets. Cameras captured him in dramas, variety shows, airport sightings. But not cinema. Not where he started. Then came the day in early 2025. The moment he signed on for Omniscient Reader. The Prophet. A project so colossal, so emotionally intense. It pulled him out of hiding. Fans celebrated. Headlines lit up. But behind the curtain, something else was breaking. And it wasn't part of the script. Lee Min-ho's dog, his beloved companion Choco, passed away quietly just days before filming began. She had been by his side for 16 years. Through fame, failure, and loneliness, she was his longest constant. And just like that, she was gone. He didn't post right away. Didn't speak. Didn't film a tribute. But when he did, the world felt the tremble behind his words. Grateful for your love, he wrote simply. No hashtags. No stage photo. Just a man letting the world know he'd lost someone who never left his side. But what fans didn't know, what no media reported, was that after he posted that goodbye, he made one call. To Kim Go-eun. She was in Kim when her phone rang, wearing a sleek black gown, posing under golden light for the world's cameras. She had just walked the carpet as Chanel's ambassador, turning heads without trying. When she saw his name flash across her phone, she stepped away from the cameras. She didn't say much. She didn't have to. I miss her, was all he said at first. Go-eun paused, then whispered, I know. It wasn't the first time he'd leaned on her. It wouldn't be the last. They were no longer just co-stars. Not after everything they'd shared during The King, Eternal Monarch. Not after the rumors, the stolen glances, the van photos. But they never confirmed anything. They didn't need to, because moments like this, quiet, raw, and completely unfiltered, meant more than any press release. That night, Go-eun sent him a single message after they hung up. It was a photo of Choco, taken from her phone 2 years ago, sleeping curled beside Lee Min-ho's coat during a script read. Her message said only, still here. He didn't reply. He couldn't, but that image became the lock screen on his phone the next day. Filming for Omniscient Reader began soon after. The character he played, Yoo Jung-hyuk, was emotionally closed off, hardened by fate, alone in his suffering. It was the perfect disguise. But the crew noticed something strange. Lee wasn't performing. He was living it. Each take felt haunted. Each silence wasn't acting. It was grief. Then one night, after a particularly difficult scene, a gift arrived in his trailer. It was a coffee from a familiar cafe in Seoul, with a note that read, You don't have to carry it all into the scene. Some of it you're allowed to put down. It was signed with a small doodle of a crown and a bunny. Only one person ever called him King after that drama. Only one person still teased him like that, even when it hurt. Kim Go-eun had sent it, without fanfare, without asking, just enough to remind him he wasn't alone. Meanwhile, fans were making noise. The web buzzed with hashtags. Hashtag Welcome Back Lee Min-ho. Hashtag Omniscient Reader Movie. Hashtag Kim Go-eun King Queen. 2 names, always orbiting. Different cities, same timeline. Then came the moment no one saw coming. A behind-the-scenes photo from a film set accidentally went viral. Not because of Lee Min-ho's costume, but because of the reflection in the background mirror. Kim Go-eun, hair tied back, hoodie, reading something on set. She wasn't credited in the cast. She wasn't in the film, but she was there. And suddenly, fans knew this wasn't a coincidence anymore. A source later whispered that she had flown in for just 3 days. No cameras, no interviews, just to sit by his side between takes. He looked different when she was there, one assistant said. Like he'd remember how to smile. But the part no one captured? That on their final night together, before she flew back to Seoul, they sat in silence under the stars, sharing one last drink. Lee pulled something from his pocket. It was Choco's collar. He placed it in her hand, then said softly, I don't think she ever really left. I think she just made room. Go-eun looked up at him, eyes glossy, then replied, "She made room for what's next." He nodded, then took her hand, and for the first time in months, he didn't feel lost. The film is now in post-production. Lee Min-ho is back, stronger, softer, different. Kim Go-eun continues to shine, headlining films, walking runways, speaking for brands. But when asked about her proudest moment this year, she said one line in an interview, "Watching someone I care about come home to himself." No one asked who she meant, but fans didn't need to. In the end, this wasn't about a comeback, or Can, or even Choco. It was about how two people, who the world sees as stars, still found light in each other during their darkest moments. Lee Min-ho lost someone he loved, and in the quiet that followed, Kim Go-eun was still there, waiting, watching, believing that this time he wouldn't have to go through it alone.
Weeks passed, and Lee Min-ho poured himself into filming. He memorized scripts, rehearsed stunts, lived inside Yoo Jung-hyuk's skin. But even when cameras weren't rolling, the grief lingered quietly, like a shadow just beyond the light. He began keeping a notebook, not for lines, but for memories. Pages filled with Choco's quirks. The way she used to nudge his elbow during ramen nights. How she'd sit between him and Go-eun during Zoom calls in 2021, like a silent chaperone. He wrote it all down. Until one night, as filming wrapped late, he opened to a fresh page and found a note that wasn't his. "You're not just playing a hero. You are one." At the bottom, a little bunny sketch holding a tiny crown. He looked up. She was gone. But she had been there, on set again for just a few hours. No announcements. No entourage. She came when it mattered. Later that week, fans noticed a quiet change. Lee Min-ho posted a photo. A black and white image of his wrist, wearing a small beaded bracelet. Simple. Homemade. Next to it a paw print charm. No caption. But those who had followed his journey knew. It was Choco's print. And the bracelet? Kim Go-eun had been spotted wearing a matching one in Cannes, beneath the sleeve of her gown. The connection was no longer something the world had to guess. It wasn't about romance or rumors. It was about care. About how some people show up when no one else does. During the press tour for Omniscient Reader, a reporter casually asked Lee Min-ho, "Did anyone help you prepare for this intense role?" He paused, then smiled faintly and replied, "Someone helped me remember who I was before I forgot." He didn't say her name. But when Kim Go-eun reposted the interview later with